So, hello and welcome to this full moon reading, the blue moon of August 30th, 2023. So, we've got 3 cards that I made for this reading, and I'm going to just show them to the screen and then we'll dive into what this is. It seems to be a lovely, powerful reading. I can't exactly remember what the reading was a month ago, but there's undoubtedly going to be related to this one in different ways. So check this out. These are the 3 cards. We have the Magician, and we have the 3 of Swords reversed and the Hermit reversed. So let's take a look at this card, these readings, and see if we can't channel some more powerful messages that in some way or another, hopefully you can relate to. So the first card was the Magician that came up. And the Magician is the part of us who consciously chooses to bring down that which is higher, more divine, more connected to the infinite part of life, bring that and channel it back down into earth using the 4 elements that we have at our disposal, the 4 levels of consciousness, and to be completely aware of the gifts of these elements and how we can use them, or how the divine then channels through us into each one of these elements, and in doing so brings down light, clarity, understanding, love, positive action, beautiful awareness into our lives. The Magician is a very masculine energy of making a choice, making a conscious choice to be in a way in service of the divine, or it's the first of the major arcana. So it's where the Fool inside of us actually chooses and realizes, hey, I'm on a spiritual path. What am I here to do? Well, it's not just about me. It's about that part of me that's above, that I can connect to, that's higher, that part of me that's inside, the God, the higher consciousness, the divine, the spirit inside of me that I have come to realize, become aware of, and choose to be a channel for in this world. That's what kicks off the whole journey, this realization that, hey, I'm on a spiritual path here. It might not look like spirit, it might not look very spiritual in any people's dogma versions or viewpoints, but this is where I am, and I realize, oh my gosh, I'm here in a journey to come home. I'm here in a journey to ground this light, to ground this higher truth through the purity of what I want and the purity of my mind, and that purity transforming and manifesting through all the elements of my being. And the Magician in this reading seems to be talking about us making some conscious choices. The first card that comes up after the Magician was this card, that was the 3 of Swords, and this is that card of sorrow. This is the mind piercing the heart, and the beliefs that bring that grief, that sorrow, the sadness, the depression, the fears, the self-doubts. It is the sword that needs to be felt. It's the beliefs that we grieve, and grief is felt, this sadness is felt in the experience of loss, mostly, when we feel like we've lost something. And loss is a feeling of separation between ourselves, whether it's the loss of our job, whether it's the loss of our a parent, or whether it's the loss of a loved one, or where we've lost our boyfriend or our girlfriend, where we've lost something. This feeling of feeling more separate from something is a painful one. It brings on our sadness, and it reminds us of the divine separation. It reminds us of how we're separate from our higher self. We're separate from God, from the truth, from spirit, from the source. We're separate from each other. There's a strong energy of this card, and this is one of the most powerful lessons, I think, of the minor arcana cards, because this sorrow and this sadness and the pain that it reflects is something that we very easily run away from, avoid, deflect, and push out of our lives. We try to pretend it's not there. We are afraid of the sadness that comes. We're afraid of the depression that's represented here. We will avoid grief. We will pretend we need to be stronger and not feel sad. We don't want to wallow in self-pity. We don't want to feel that sadness. And it fears us to actually confront and embrace and to grieve our loss properly. And I say to grieve our loss properly because in this incarnation and in the belief that we are these separate beings, we've lost our connection to the divine because we believe that we're separate from it. And it's that belief that has separated us from it more than anything else. And it's that belief that represented by the creative thought that wants to create lots of ideas and lots of other things and takes us away from our hearts. And we've been taken away from our hearts in so many ways in our lives. We have taught ourselves, we have to believe in stories. We have been taught to believe in stories that have promoted a continual disconnection from our truth, from our purity, from what the magician knows he's here for. And yet the grief that's there is a reminder. We think it's like, oh, it doesn't feel good. How can there be any reason for it to be good in any way? And yet the grief is there to remind us, hey, this is the sadness that you feel when you're disconnected from yourself, from other people, from your loved ones. This is the sadness. This is the pain that you feel when you choose to believe yourself separate from your divine source. And so this grief is not a wrong thing or a bad thing. It's an arrow. It's pointing you and saying, hey, look at all of these ways, all of these thoughts, all of these programs, and all of these beliefs. Look at the sword that you so worship, that has really and continues to take you away from your truth and your heart. It's a tough one to believe, that we are all connected and that we're all one, and yet we seek that feeling of connection everywhere, all the time. We want to return home. We want to feel the love and the connection with somebody else, with the world around us, with with as many aspects of this world as possible. Sometimes we only feel safe in the connection with an animal or a pet or with nature or with our job, and we don't feel safe feeling connected with everybody else because there's some pain that we need to encounter. There's some pain and there's some sadness that we need to look at and allow into our lives, because it will help us remember. It will help us remember that we don't want to feel this disconnection, and this connection is primarily caused by our belief in our separation. It's very easy to deny this pain. It's very easy to choose to look the other way. It's very easy to avoid admitting our sadness because we've labeled it as weak. It's very easy to bypass our mild depression and have it spiral into a deep depression. It's very difficult to feel that this sadness and that the loss of our wholeness is actually part of our mission, part of our work, part of what the fool and the magician are choosing to experience. And we're choosing to experience this because the darkness of separation, the shadow of division that is painful and sad, is part of what our human experience is all about. It's unavoidable. We might try our best to avoid it, but it's unavoidable. So we're fighting a losing battle because it's part of our necessary experience. And we have to integrate this and learn to listen to everything that's painful, because everything that's painful is going to remind us of that loss. And we don't need to pay all of our attention to it, but we need to listen to it, because it will tell us what is going to be the right path, the choices that are going to enrich us. And it's going to give us a fire of motivation to move away from old habits, old ways of thinking. It's going to remind us over and over again that the beliefs that we're holding on to do not serve us, and we have the power to change them. And without that conscious awareness of the pain, we probably won't change. Without feeling uncomfortable where we are, unconsciously admitting that discomfort, we won't make a conscious choice that the magician will definitely wants to make, to move our asses out of this discomfort and choose something different. Choose to believe something different, choose to walk the path least trodden, and take ourselves to what is a higher ground. The hermit lights up a path. Why? Because it's a darkness that he's lighting up. He's walked through the darkness, and he's lighting up a path that is dark for a lot of other people. This is the hero's journey that we're all on. This is the necessary night on this full moon, and this is the light that we've come here to shine. We can't embody, and this is card is upside down, because it's very difficult to embody this other very strong masculine guiding light that we all can be in this world, unless we are willing and able to embrace the depths of our grief, the depths of our sadness, the depths of our pain, the trauma and the loss on all levels. Understanding that anything that represents and reflects itself in the outside world is going to be an inner reflection of something that we have lost, an inner relationship we have lost, an inner sadness towards a disappointment of who we feel, who we might judge ourselves to be or not to be. And there are those three core swords, that's like three core beliefs that are the foundation for our suffering in a way. And one of them, the primary one, comes with the belief that we are separate. We, as a magician, as a powerful creator force in our lives, can consciously choose to walk through, into, and embrace and welcome in any pain, any feeling of trauma and loss into our life, because it will guide us. It will motivate us. It will help us remember the truth. Not if we focus on it and go, oh, it's so bad, it's so wrong, run away from it, pushing it away. But if we look at it, embrace it, and say, wow, thank you, you're teaching me about the falseness of my ideas that I'm very stuck into holding on to and gripping with all my might, even though it's not serving me. We're all seeking unity. We're all seeking love. And it starts with a journey of embracing our own sadness and our own sorrow and our own pain and loss. And then and only then can we hold that lamp up and shine some light onto the darkness of our own path and inspire others to walk the same way. I hope this serves you in some way, this short reading for this full moon. I'm sending you much love, as much light as possible. Love to hear your comments, and have a fantastic few weeks, and see you soon.